Glory to the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Today I would like to speak on the topic of Jerusalem, a cup of trembling. I would like to discuss the valley of Jehoshaphat and Megiddo, and let's distinguish between the two. Here we have the definition of Armageddon. It's taken from the Hebrew word Megiddo, and it means mountain of Megiddo. So this is a mountainous area. Here we have Jehoshaphat or Jehoshaphat, and it means the Most High, Judge. So this is a valley of judgment. This is according to Joel 3. Now I would like to discuss the scriptures and see what does they tell us about Megiddo and the valley of Jehoshaphat. I'll be reading from Zechariah, Ezekiel, and the book of Revelations. And it reads, Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the people, all that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as the Most High, as the angel of the Lord before them. Let's continue. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourning for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadamon in the valley of Megiddo. So we have a problem. Scriptures tell us that they will look upon me whom they have pierced. This is none other than the Messiah, Christ. Judah and Jerusalem will look on the one they have pierced, and in that day shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning in the valley of Megiddo. Megiddo is none other than Megiddo. So, first of all, the people have to be back in the land. Not only that, but the Messiah has to be back on the land in order for them to look upon him, which they have pierced. Jerusalem cannot be a cup of trembling right now. Now, the next couple of scriptures tells us that the land shall mourn every family apart, the family of the house of David and their wives, the family of the house of Nathan and their wives, the family of the house of Levi and their wives, and the family of Shimei and their wives. Now, someone please tell me out there if you can distinguish right now in the land of Israel, those people dwelling there, who's the house of David, who's the house of Nathan, the house of Levi, and the house of Shimei. You cannot, because the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are not back in the land yet. And they are not looking upon the Messiah. Okay? More importantly, where does this take place? The valley of Megiddo, or Megiddo. Now let's move to the book of Ezekiel. Okay, I have a couple of lines I have highlighted. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. Where? The mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates. First of all, in order for the children to return to the land, this land has to be brought back from the sword. War has to cleanse this land before the children can return back. Where? To the mountains of Israel. We know that the mountains, or Megiddo, is that area now, amongst other areas, and it should be inhabited like unwalled villages with no bars and no gates. So let's continue to read. I have a couple of points that I have highlighted, but I'm just going to paraphrase some and focus on the main points here. We know that Gog and Magog comes against the land and other nations, but mainly Gog and Magog, because we know this from reading the book of Revelations. And it reads, And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains. Where his mountains, saith the Most High, every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with pestilence and blood, and I will rain upon him and his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstone, fire and brimstone. So the Most High is going to stand for his people in that day. I don't know if any of you have been keeping up with current events, but you know, they had a suicide bomber over there in Israel that killed 7 people. Now, if the Most High is standing for his people, that wouldn't have been permitted. So we know that the Most High is going to stand in the mountainous areas, which is none other than Megiddo, not the valley of Jehoshaphat, okay, for his people. Now let's prove this by going to Revelations 19 and 20. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, and both small and great. Now if you go back to Revelation 16, you will see that this is after the prelude of these people being gathered to the place called Armageddon or Megiddo, and we know that the Christ is coming back to make coming back to smite the nations and to make war. Now let's find out what war is this when we go to Revelations 20 after he comes back. And this is Satan when he goes out to deceive the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven, and devoured them. Now, this is the same Gog and Magog that we have in Ezekiel 38 in the mountainous area of Megiddo. And we have the saints that are in a camp, and you know, a camp is a site without walls, and we have the judgment coming down on these nations, on Gog and Magog. So, with that being said, we know that the valley of Jehoshaphat is where the Most High judges these nations. And the valley of Megiddo is the mountainous area. It's where the final battle takes place. It's where the Messiah stands up for his people. And the houses of David, Nathan, Levi, and Shimei are going to look upon him whom they have pierced, and it's going to be mourning in that day, such mourning as it's going to be in the valley of Megiddo. And also, Jerusalem cannot be a cup of trembling, because this is the only way that those houses that's mentioned in Zechariah are going to look upon his face, is that he has returned to the land, and Jerusalem cannot be a cup of trembling because Messiah has not returned, and the children of Israel have not returned to the land. So it's impossible for Jerusalem to be a cup of trembling at this point. What we do see is that the nations are being gathered to the valley of Jehoshaphat to be judged. Those who have an ear, let them hear what the Spirit is saying.